Hey guys, today I wanted to share my early observations after using the Nexus 6P for about 1 day, and just in case you are wondering why the hell would anyone make such a video since reviews have been out for many months now. Unfortunately, I got my review on it way later than expected, but I still wanted to share my opinion, my thoughts and my observations that I have for right now, and maybe I will cover a few things that you won't hear on any other reviews. So let's start with the first few things that I noticed. The first thing is the size. I did not expect it to feel that huge, because the first moment when I took it out of the hand, even, which brings me to point number 2, compared to something like the Mate 8, which has 6 inches, this one almost felt bigger. I don't have the Mate 8 here right now, but I think I will get it just for a side-by-side comparison. This phone feels more like a small tablet than like a phablet. The good thing though is it feels a little bit thinner than expected, which is quite nice to see. Also good is it feels less slippery than expected, because usually aluminum is quite slippery, but at least here on the graphite black version it feels quite grippy, which is nice. The next point, which is something that usually most people don't care about, is the power button placement. I personally think on every Nexus so far is just placed too high, because this is almost a full stretch, and I would like to see something more like on the Samsung Galaxy S7, where you can see side-by-side comparison. It is noticeably lower, which gives me a nice little bend so I can actually push, which I don't have on the Nexus, because this is almost a full stretch and just doesn't feel as convenient for me. But this is a small thing, and usually most people will just use the fingerprint reader to unlock the device anyways, but as you can see, it works quite nice, but I don't think it works as good as the proprietary solution maybe from Huawei on the Mate S and Mate 8. They just felt way more responsive to the touch and just quicker. Still great though, definitely not a fan of the position, because as you can see, if I hold it like this, this is a complete stretch of my finger. And if I use it like this, I almost can't reach it. So way too high for me, and on the back is something that I personally don't like anyways, but that's just me. The next point would be the USB port, because as you can see here, this is quite a hard edge, and especially in my case, I had this issue on so many Nexus devices. This is where I support my phone with the pinky and I scratch against it. It's really a minor thing, but it's really odd to see that for some reason every Nexus device has this tendency to scratch my pinky. Really odd, but I know that's just me. The next point would be no curved glass on the front, which is something that I absolutely love. It's definitely nothing the device can't do anything, because this is a design decision. But once you use something with a curve here on the front, like here on the S7, or I think the Mate S had it as well, and the Mate 8, not quite so sure about the Mate 8, but it makes the feel so much nicer to the touch on the sides. But the good thing is, compared to something like the Sony Xperia Z5, which had a quite aggressive, hard, rough edge, this one is still smooth and doesn't really make any issues, so it's fine. But I don't think it will really add any further protection, because as you can see here, this edge is really tiny, and this won't help the device. So it's more of a design decision than anything else, and it's okay, but I would wish for that to be curved, because it just makes it feel nicer. The next thing would be the glass on the front is not nearly as smooth and premium feeling like on the S7, because once, and this is something that I can't show on the video, you hold the S7 in your hand, you will feel how incredibly smooth and great this coating is on the S7. The Nexus 6P feels a lot more with friction, and it just doesn't feel as premium. Of course, this could be maybe because this phone was used for many months now and the coating is just gone. As you can see, also fingerprints will stick a lot harder on it, and they are harder to wipe off than on the S7. So either they used a better coating here, or this one is just gone. I can't really say that since I just got it now. The next one would be an odd click on the top right. As you can hear, if you maybe tap and then sometimes do this, I think this makes the device feel a little bit like broken, a little bit flimsy, which it isn't, because it is pretty much just the camera unit. Yeah, definitely no big issue, but there are phones where this doesn't happen, but yeah, that's it, not really a big thing. The next point would be the shockingly loud speaker. I won't really show this off in this video, but in the full review, the speaker is incredibly loud and incredibly nicely balanced, so definitely one of the top 3, maybe with the Nexus 6 and maybe X style of Motorola as well. Great sound. The next thing that I wanted to show off just real quick, and I won't really be able to show this on the video, but the display, the white, is quite warm. Something you won't really see here, but something I have to mention. And it's a little bit odd to see that the Nexus 5X has an option to actually give you colder colors, which in my case isn't needed, because my 5X is already perfect in terms of white. If I make the color colors, I have a way too blue screen, which you will notice on blacks. This one though is noticeably warmer, and even compared to the Samsung Galaxy S7, less natural colors, because even oversaturated compared to the Galaxy S7. This was something odd, because side by side the Nexus S7 already is oversaturated, but this one is even more. Okay, there is an sRGB option, but that one, in my opinion, feels just way too dull. I just didn't like that so much. The next point would be the performance, and that is the big highlight here, because as you can see here, crazy smooth. Okay, now of course there was some lag, but usually, as you can see, once it's fully ran, super smooth, super nice, super responsive, very consistent. There are a few rare instances of lag, but overall, as you can see, the performance couldn't be any better. And if I would have to choose to have the best performance on one device, it would be from the Nexus. Because even the S7 feels smooth, and by side, I still notice that the Nexus 6P just feels overall a little bit better, even though it should have the inferior SoC. I guess it's better optimization, and we have TouchWiz on the S7 after all, which has to make a little bit of an impact on the performance. It still performs great, but this one overall just performs a little bit better, and this is actually the end of my observations. So overall, I think this is the phone still to beat, even with the Galaxy S7 and Edge out there. If you maybe want the more premium feel, I still think the S7, I think the Edge as well, will deliver a better performance. Camera is something that I can't say quite so sure, because my early testing showed me one thing, and I've used the 5X, so I know the camera already. The Nexus has an incredible camera, a really great selfie camera, which is absolutely shit on the S7. I don't like it at all. All my selfies are super blurry, and maybe I will make a side-by-side comparison. Once we go to the back camera though, it is a little bit different, because in low light the S7 did a better job, didn't really make any outdoor shots yet, but what I know from the 5X, it is an incredible shooter as well. Even more so accurate than the S7, because the S7 for me is way too warm for now in terms of colors. Which leads me to one thing: the device is big, it is still beautiful, it is premium. It doesn't feel quite on the level of premium to the S7 compared to that. Display is really nice, but also no comparison to the S7, just not as accurate, and the white is just way too warm. Sound miles ahead of the competition. These front-facing stereo speakers make a great job. Performance is absolutely flawless, let's say 99% flawless, super smooth, crazy smooth. They just use a really great way of performance or scrolling, because there is a definite difference of scrolling, because as you can see here, this is already super smooth, but this just has a different touch to it. Something that I prefer. So the scrolling performance is absolutely great. Battery, I can't really say it. I used it for one cycle. Seems quite decent. For me, at least in my use, quite similar to something like the S7. Not the crazy, huge, amazing battery life everyone has. But this was my first cycle, of course. Software, stock Android. Personally, I think it's a little bit too minimal. But it is a Nexus, so I would root it and use a custom ROM anyways. And then it would be more than fine and better than everything else. And the camera is absolutely killer. So these are my early impressions so far. Full review should be up in about a week and a half, or let's say 2 weeks from now. I still hope this was kind of useful, and I hope I will see you next time. If you want to, leave me a thumbs up, reshare this video, or subscribe to the channel. Okay, until next time, bye.